Hey yo, what's the deal? You know who it is. It's the Don. Yeah, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, Teflon 316. We pull the strings. Yeah, and I'm back at you with another video. And I got to do these. I try to think of videos that a lot of people don't talk about. I try to think of videos of topics that you don't see out there, like, cause look, Jon Snow's mother and this, that, and other. We all talk about things like that. So, someone asked me in a question, and I think it was Claire Gray. I'm not sure, but they asked me about the tapestries. I'm not sure who it was, and I know it was a woman. But they asked me about the tapestries, of Littlefinger's tapestries, because I said that in the Littlefinger's video. So I figured I would touch on that because that is definitely a big deal. I think people don't realize how big a deal it is because it just slips people's minds, or they didn't really, stress it too much. So I was thinking about it, and I just recently went away and I went to Fort Ticonderoga. Yeah, I went over there, out there in Lake George, and I chilled out there in Lake George, and I went in the fort. And first off, if you ever get a chance to go out there, definitely go out there. It's ill. It's no joke out there. And it's funny because when you go out there and you see these people back in that era, Revolutionary War era, and they got these little ruffles on and these little things in their hair and stuff like that. And looking at them, and you think of yourself as a modern person, like I fuck these cats up. What these if I was back then. When you see these dudes in this and hear these muskets shooting in the way they was in the woods with them, and you ain't fucking these cats up. No, son. These dudes will go right through you and go right through you with the quickness. No doubt about it. You know what I mean? These cats was not playing. I had a great time out there. But it being out there, they had something out there with the Indian people that were there that were fighting with the at this time in the reenactment that they were doing. The Indian people were fighting with the British, and so they had this thing that the Indian people had, and it made me think of this whole situation. It was called a wampa. Now wampa are beads made from shells that could look like balls, cones, diamonds, squares, or hourglasses. However, the beads could be varied in color, including white, purple, black, red, depending on the shell used and what the artist wanted the wampa to say. Now, these different colors, some of them meant war, some of them meant death, some of them meant poison, some of them meant sickness. And they would give these belts. And later on, they would give these belts when the European people would come. They started using it as currency. But before that, they had different purposes. Now, a purpose it did have was for storytelling. A wampa could be used to help people remember stories. Often, storytellers would hold belts and point to certain parts of the belt while they told their story. Now, adding on to history and heritage, new events were woven onto the belt or added onto the belt to tell the story of the history of a tribe and the heritage of a tribe. Asking for marriage, sometimes a man who met a woman and he wanted to marry would give her a wampa. And if the woman's family would accept it, that means they accepted the marriage. And if they give it back, that means it was off. It would also be used for gifts. People would say for friendship gifts. And it could also be a way of indicating peace and sometimes indicating war. All right. A wampa could be given for one group for a declaration of war against another group. Now, you may say, what does that have to do with anything? Well, knowing that George R. R. Martin likes history and stuff like that, you have to say that he uses history and takes things from it. Now, the wampa may not be directly something that he took as a belt, but if you look at the tapestry as a wampa, and you look at the tapestry as a wampa of heritage, especially, and I think it fits. Now, let me go into this for you real quick. Now, the reason I go with heritage at this time is because, and not war, is because Tyrion talks about the Targ tapestries and it was being tied to their bloodlines. At the same time, Cat and Robb are heading off to the Red Wedding, and they're talking about the heir, who would be heir if Robb died. And Robb doesn't want Sansa to take over because Tyrion is married to her. So we have Sansa mentioned at this time, and Robb doesn't want her to take over because Tyrion would take the north. So I think it's key, if you really look at it, that Sansa's being mentioned at this time. So that's Catelyn 5 in the Storm and Swords. I haven't given out the books and the titles. I know people have asked for that. So that's Catelyn 5. And let's take a listen to Catelyn 5 and listen to exactly what Robb says.
Young and a king, he said. A king must have an heir. If I should die in my next battle, the kingdom must not die with me. By law, Sansa is next in line of succession, so Winterfell in the north would pass to her. His mouth tight. To her, and her lord husband, Tyrion Lannister. I cannot allow that. I will not allow that. That dwarf must never have the north. No, Catelyn agreed. You must name another heir until such time as Jane gives you a son.
All right. So now heirs, we know, were firstborn sons, and then it goes down the list, and then we know what happens in the whole family. We know what all happens. But what happens if the whole family dies out? Who took over for the reins? There's always has to be a next tier down family lines. That's what I would think, to take the titles and the lands from the families to keep it in the bloodlines. Like the Karstarks are the next tier for the Starks because each family is also defined by the lands that they hold. You have to understand. Like the Lannisters of Casterly Rock and the Lannisters of Lannisport. Now the Karstarks are the bloodline of the Starks of Winterfell. It's in their veins. That's what's said, that the Karstarks of Winterfell are in their veins. Carlin Stark put down the rebel lord and was granted lands and built a castle called Karl's Hold, but soon it became Karlhold, and the Karlhold Starks or the Starks of Karlhold became the Karstarks. So we have two family of Starks, right? We have the Starks of Winterfell and the Starks of Karlhold, or we could just call them the Karstarks. So let's go and take that from where it's at, and let's go down to where we at in the book. Now, Littlefinger had Sansa and the heir to the Arryn seat, and let's break it down kind of like how Littlefinger would see it. Now, Robin Arryn, and Harry Harding, Harry the heir, are the male bloodline of Jasper Arryn, who is the father of Jon Arryn, Alyssa Arryn, Harry's maternal grandmother, which makes Harry Sweet Robin's a once-removed first cousin. Harry has no trueborn children, so if he were to die, the Vale would pass to the second tier family of the Arryns. All right, so this is the drop, and this is what you have to remember. If you go back to that chapter, this is what Catelyn says.
She considered for a moment. Your father's father had no siblings, but his father had a sister who married a younger son of Lord Rhaemar Royce, of the junior branch. They had 3 daughters, all of whom wed Vale lordlings, a Waynwood and a Corbray for certain. The youngest, it might have been a Templeton, but...
Right there is the drop. So, let's go through it. You must name an heir until such a time Jane gives you a son. She considers a moment. Your father's father had no siblings. So his father, Ned Stark, Rickard Stark, his father, right, Ned Stark's father, Rickard Stark, had no brother or sister. But his father had a sister who married a younger son of Lord Rhaemar Royce of the junior branch. So Robb's great-grandfather had a sister who married a Royce. They had 3 daughters, all whom wed Vale lordlings, a Waynwood and a Corbray, and for certain, the youngest, it might have been a Templeton. So many people always wonder why there is no reason or why you have not seen Ned's mother or Ned's grandmother. And I always say why this is not have not been revealed. And I think that right there is the reason why Petyr Baelish has the tapestry, and is the reason why they have not been revealed. Because I think that it will be revealed that if not one or both of them are Aarons and are members of the bloodline of the Starks from the Vale, meaning Sansa would be the heir if and when Harry dies. And I think the tapestries prove it. Because back then, they did not have DNA tests. They did not have any other way besides these books of colors and stuff to tell bloodlines. So when you have things passed back, now it doesn't seem like a long time, but just like I told you before in the slavery thing, it isn't that long ago, but people forget and it seems longer than it is. So I think that these tapestries show that the connection that the Starks, just like they have the Starks of Winterfell, the Karstarks, the Starks of Karhold, there's a branch Starks out there, the Starks of the Vale, that Catelyn said. And I think that is where Ned's mother or grandmother both are from the Vale. And I think that is why Ned was fostered in the Vale. And that is my beliefs on the tapestries. Now, I could go on and on, I think. This is very short, but people have asked me to do shorter videos. So I think I have wrapped that up pretty short, and I'll be able to upload this very fast. If you're new, thank you for joining this house and subscribing. Please tell your friends about me. Hit me on Twitter. And you know what I mean? And if you disagree with what I said, put it down. But I think this definitely proves what the tapestries are for, and it proves the parentage of Ned's mother and Littlefinger's ultimate plan to give Sansa the veil, and how he plans on giving her the veil. I think that's it. And I think that goes on to lead into Fagon trying to wed Sansa. But that's another story. So as always, if you've been rocking with me for a long time, good looks, keep it up. And I hope you enjoy this. And I'm sorry if it's short. I know people like it longer, but I gotta do both for everybody. So you like one that's shorter? Here's a shorter video. So I'll get back at you later. So as always, it's the Don Cheer, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, Teflon 316. We pull the strings. Peace. And I'm out. The people's champ. Wait. 1 second. I'm not going anywhere. I have to say this real quick. The Varys thing. I did not wrap it up. A part of it got canceled out, so I did not wrap it up. So let me wrap it real quick. Varys, other thing about Varys, why his motivation is to do it. Varys, the thing they point out is that the last of the male Blackfire line is dead. How do they know the last of the male Blackfire line is dead? Because Aerys was the last male Blackfire. And when his dick got chopped off, that's how the line ended. And that is why, that is the connection, whether Varys is the sister of Illyrio's wife or cousin or some type of relative. It definitely is, but Aerys of Blackfire. Obviously, you have Egg shaving his head, and we know Targaryens do that. So that is the wrap up a little bit on that. So as always, it's the Don Cheer, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, Teflon 316. We pull the strings. Chairman of the board, baby. And we out. Peace.